Could I ask you to take your seats, please? You're all very welcome to our reconvened March monthly meeting of Council, and I'm going to pass to Stephen here to take the or to read the summons and take the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. So, members, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council, which will be a hybrid meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and physically in the council chamber. If I take the roll, Alderman Cook.
Online, Stephen.
Alderman Guy.
Online, Stephen.
Alderman Hussey.
Apologies, he's at a funeral, but I'll be here later.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Kerrigan.
Online.
Alderman McMorris.
Online.
Alderman Middleton. Alderman Montgomery.
Online, Stephen.
Alderman Wilkinson. Councillor.
Apologies.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jason Barr. Councillor Lillian Barr.
Online, Stephen.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
Online, Stephen.
Councillor Boggs. Councillor Boyle.
Here online, Stephen.
Councillor Clark.
Shaw.
Councillor Cusack.
Here.
Councillor Devine.
And Shaw Erlina.
Councillor Donnelly.
Shaw.
Councillor Alex Duffy.
Shaw online.
Councillor Sandra Duffy.
Shaw.
Councillor Farrell.
Online, Stephen.
Councillor Fleming.
Shaw online.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart.
And Shaw.
Councillor Heaney.
Shaw.
Councillor Hutton.
You join us shortly.
Councillor Jackson.
Sure.
Councillor Leonard.
And Shaw Harlina.
Councillor Logue.
And Shaw online.
Councillor McDade.
Online.
Councillor McGinley.
And Shaw, Stephen.
Councillor McGowan. Councillor McHugh.
Shaw.
Councillor Mooney. Councillor Murphy. Councillor Norris. Councillor O'Farrell.
And Shaw.
Councillor Riley. Councillor Tierney.
Here, Stephen.
And Councillor Neelis.
Erlina.
Thank you, members.
Stephen. Stephen, as Alderman Cook, Gillian Middleton give apologies. She's at work today.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Stephen. Members, I'll just read the broadcasting statement here. I'd like to remind everyone present at this meeting in the Guildhall that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you're consenting to be informed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the Council privacy notice may be found on the Council website, www.derrystrabane.com. Item 4 then, members, any declarations of members' interest? It wasn't declared last week. Okay, we'll move then. There was one item of chairperson's business from last week's meeting, and that was Councillor Leonard, who's online. Councillor Leonard.
Avara, I'd like if you could join me in congratulating Strabane resident Declan Mullen. Declan was recently recognised for exceptional service at the 2026 Ambulance Leadership Awards. Declan is an experienced ambulance service professional and he's been recognised for his outstanding contribution to frontline healthcare and leadership, and in recognition of his dedication and commitment to supporting both patients and colleagues. Most recently, Declan played a central role in the successful delivery of a replacement ambulance stations in Strabane. This involved working closely with internal teams and external contractors, and he helped guide the project through to completion. I know Declan in his role with ambulance service and also in his part-time role as an on-call firefighter. When I was in the fire service, I can remember many occasions when Declan's transferable skills and knowledge were of great advantage to myself and to the casualties we are treating at RTCs on fires. Finally, I'd be grateful if you could send her a letter of congratulations to Declan, and I can send you further details to assist with this. Or am I of it?
Thank you, Councillor Leonard. I'm sure that can be accommodated. Members, that then takes us to item 6, which is the confirmation of the open minutes of the previous month's full council meeting from Wednesday, the 25th of February, pages 7 to 40 for accuracy. Proposer and seconder, Councillor Jackson. Seconder, Councillor Duffy. Any matters arising out of those minutes? Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. It's C5626, and we had a discussion about MLA pay at the last meeting, and we attempted to submit a position from the council that was extremely critical of the proposed pay increase that was being discussed, and that was widely rejected, as everybody knows, across all communities. But disgracefully, that pay increase has now been rammed through. MLAs are going to receive a 27% pay hike. And the anger that this has generated cannot be understated. Care workers who were promised a real living wage, shocked. Nurses and health service workers who are being told that they're in line for a 3.3% pay increase over the coming year, and many other groups of workers who can't get a decent pay raise and are struggling to pay their bills. There's been a campaign, as people will know, by classroom assistants who are very lowly paid and who only have 9-month contracts. And what they see, instead of Stormont and MLAs addressing their concerns, is the opposite. MLAs who are already paid way above the average in wage, who get subsidised meals in Stormont, while children in our schools are denied free school meals, children living in poverty, that is, and while a lot of families are now struggling to pay the increased costs of free school meals. So this has been a massive shocker, and I think it speaks volumes about the state, Stormont's failure to deliver for the vast majority of people. I think it's disgraceful that the views of this council, our objection to this scandalous pay raise, were not even taken seriously by the body that was assigned to look at it. So I think I think that this will live on. I think people will not forget that in the middle of a cost of living crisis, when energy bills are going through the roof, the only people that are getting helped are Stormont MLAs. I think it's a shocker, and I think it's a slap in the face to our residents and also to our council that has agreed last year, this year, that this type of pay raise should be opposed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Harkin. I have Councillor McGinley indicated.
Gormega Chair, it's just in relation to C62/26 and in relation to youth services. 3 years ago, we sat here and there was a campaign that had been launched to save our youth services. This week, I've met with youth workers who are concerned that come June, there's a cliff edge in terms of funding. This morning, we met with John Lynch from the Youth Work Alliance, who have launched and developed a charter that has 8 key pillars, including the prioritisation of the budget for youth services within the Education Authority and the Department for Education. Party colleagues in the Assembly have raised immediate alarm that the funding ring fence for youth workers has been removed by the Education Authority. And I think that's really, really alarming. Our youth workers are incredible. Our youth workers are supporting our young people. there's been much talk about early intervention with young people, and the people that are delivering that are our youth workers and teachers. So I just wanted to raise it that as a child-friendly city, and having achieved that status, that we have to put a priority towards our youth workers, and if possible, and it's maybe something we can have a further discussion on at a committee, but if a paper could be brought back in relation to the charter that the Youth Work Alliance have tabled, and have a bit of engagement through council with that. So it was just to flag it up to people that we're in a situation where our youth services are at risk.
Thanks for that, Councillor McGinley. Councillor Mooney.
Thank you, Mayor. It's C92, 96, the calling of the council item from last month. It's really a matter of accuracy. I'm sure you're going to get there, but my contribution to that wasn't added as a waterside councillor, so I would appreciate if that could be added to the minutes, please, Chair. Thank you.
I'm sure the clerk will take notice of that, Councillor Mooney. Councillor Harkin.
Thanks, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor McGinley, for raising the issue of the threats to the funding to youth services. I think it's absolutely disgraceful that youth services that provide vital services to young people are feeling under threat right now and are being told that their funding is only secured through to June. This is shocking. I would have been at the meeting today that was organised, but I had another engagement at Bishop Street Court, unfortunately. But I think we need to send a stronger message from the council about this, because this could be devastating. My understanding, or I think what's happening, is that youth services organisations that provide those services are being forced now to compete with schools and others who are struggling to see what this education minister is actually doing. We've had a situation over the last week where between the education minister and the health minister, we were told that summer schemes for children with special needs were going to be taken away, and only a people power campaign has forced them to do a U-turn on that, which is a lesson. And now we have this threat to youth services as well. I mean, my question to the minister would be, is there a equality impact assessment being done as to what will happen if these youth services are lost? So I think as a council, we could write to the minister requesting that, is this being carried out? There's a huge level of alarm and concern about this potential cut. I think we have to, as a council, oppose this and tell the minister and tell Stormont that they need to find the funding to make sure that youth services are not lost, and that we can't afford to lose those services, nor can we afford to lose those jobs. So I would be happy. I don't know if this would be considered a pop-up motion, because I think it's that urgent, but I think that this is the message that should be coming from the council today.
Thank you, Councillor Harkin. So you're proposing that we write to the minister on that issue?
Thank you, Mayor. I would propose that we write to the minister asking if he's carried out an equality impact assessment, but also saying that this council opposes cuts to youth services, and that the minister should do all in his power to ensure that youth services are protected and that the jobs are protected, because there's too much at stake.
Councillor Harkin, could I ask you just to forward that and by email to the clerk? I need a seconder for that proposal as well, Councillor Donnelly. In the meantime, I'll go to Councillor Tierney while Councillor Harkin forwards that on.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Councillor McGinley for raising this issue. I think it is appropriate that we are discussing this today. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend this morning's meeting due to another engagement. I wasn't in Bishop Street Courthouse, but I had something else on which I couldn't attend, but I do hope to tie in with John Lynch later on this week. I think any of us who are sitting here who value the work of the community and voluntary sector across the city and district will know how devastating these cuts will be in our communities to the lives of young people, and God knows where and how
they will find the guidance that they currently get within their youth facilities. If this goes ahead, listening to Councillor Harkin and without seeing the actual wording on the screen, but listening to him, his proposal is something that we would definitely support, because any pressure that can be put on the Minister to stop these cuts and to engage properly with the youth services is something that we believe would be welcome. These cuts are, as I understand it, due to kick in from the end of June this year, so that doesn't leave an awful lot of time. They will have a devastating impact on, for want of a better word, EA-controlled youth services, but they will have an even worse impact on community and voluntary youth services as well. So I think that that's something that we also need to keep in mind. Although it's not on the screen at the moment, we're happy to support the sentiment of the proposal from Councillor Harkin, and we thank Councillor McGinley for raising this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tierney. Any other councillor wish to contribute? We'll just await Councillor Harkin's proposal. Okay, members, you now have the wording up on the screen there. That's been proposed and seconded. Does anybody else wish to address the motion? Councillor McGinley.
Just a slight amendment. If I could ask that it's also sent to the Education Authority. I know from witnessing the debates that are happening in the Assembly that the Education Minister's response is that he values youth workers, but it's an Education Authority operational decision in terms of their budget. So we need to put pressure on the Education Authority as well as the Education Minister to make sure that both services are valuing the work of our youth workers.
Okay, Councillor Harkin, are you content that that be included in the main motion? Yeah, okay. Teresa, are you happy to amend that to include the Education Authority also be written to? Thank you. Okay, members, it's been proposed and seconded, and I'm sensing that it's going to receive unanimous support. But just before we rubber stamp that, I'll go to Councillor Montgomery online.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to come on and just say that it is a vital having youth services within the communities, and it is much needed. So I'm happy enough to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And we have Alderman Kerrigan as well online.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for allowing me in. And I do think that the addition there that Councillor McGinley has added there is important, because it is up to the individual education authorities to allocate their funding. So no, we're content enough with the motion. Again, no issue seeking clarification regarding the quality impact assessment, and it is concerning for all involved. So no, content enough with the proposal put forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Kerrigan. Is that the final wording we have there now, Philip? Yes. Okay, members, as I said, it's been proposed and seconded with unanimous support, so we can take that proposal as having passed. Members, is there any other matters arising out of those minutes? If not, we'll move on then to item 8, which is the confirmation of the open minutes of the reconvened meeting of last month's council on Thursday, the 26th of February. Under accuracy, proposer and seconder then. Councillor Mooney and Councillor Tierney, thank you. Any matters arising? No councillor indicated, so we'll move on then to item 10, which is the adoption of the open minutes of the following committees. The first being the Special Health and Community Committee held on Thursday, the 19th of February 2026 for accuracy. Councillor Tierney, Councillor O'Farrell, and for matters arising. No indicated speakers, so we move on then to 10B, which is the monthly Governance and Strategic Planning Committee held on Tuesday, the 3rd of March, for accuracy. Councillor Jackson and Councillor Tierney, thank you. For matters arising, any matters arising, members? Councillor Donnelly.
Chair, GSP 50/26, the media evaluation. Regards it, and it's broken down the following, positive coverage and negative coverage. And we never listed the negative coverage, and I asked at a previous meeting that, it should be put there so we could see it, to see what we're doing or what was going wrong, or if we could change it. But regarding the negative coverage, within it, they had Palestine Action T-shirt at full council. They had Palestine Action protests was in twice, and then we had council members to meet Palestine Action hunger strikers' families. And I'm just wondering, because that to me, it depends on what way this is framed, but that to me is, whilst the issue over Palestine is a negative issue, the genocide that's happening, the actions, whether it be councillors attending protests or wearing, highlighting that genocide or meeting families, what way is that framed, and who decides that that is put down as a negative?
Okay, Councillor Donnelly, thanks for that. Been advised that we'll have to come back to you on that question. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other matters arising? Councillor Jackson.
I'm going to be GSP 39/26. That was on the back of a deputation that came on the committee from representatives from Foyleside on their plans to redevelop the Rosemount factory. And I suppose it comes on the back of our council stance of community wealth building, of supporting our community sector. We know in Foyleside in particular, there's a very strong community sector. They delivered they're in touch with the local areas, and we've discussed in detail around the real challenges around sustainability of youth sector and our community sector as a whole. And community wealth building is an opportunity to help support our community sector, put them on a more sustainable footing, and help them deliver for our community. There was a proposal, or there was a presentation at that committee around how they could take ownership of the Rosemount factory and use it as a community wealth building model, retain investment in the area to deliver community projects. I, on behalf of the party, made a proposal that we endorsed that model. There was concerns raised, and they allowed further conversations. I withdrew the proposal. Since then, Mayor, it's our understanding, we've been in constant contact with a number of community groups in the area, and there's been significant developments. What we're led to believe is the community wealth building model for this project is seriously in doubt, and there's other proposals that are being discussed that aren't led by the community. From our perspective, we believe that for this project in particular, the community sector are best placed to help shape and build our communities. They develop our communities for the betterment of the entire area, and they take into consideration the views of local residents. So, and that was the ethos of our proposal initially. We now believe that this project is could potentially move forward with less input from the community sector and more of an ethos or emphasis on the private sector. And until we see what that final proposal is looking like, I know I indicated that we would make a proposal at full council. It's information we've received is that the project the presentation that was presented at committee is no longer the presentation or the proposal that's on offer. So we won't be making the proposal today, and we wait in anticipation for what the proposal coming forward from the private sector will look like. But it's extremely disappointing that the community-led project has fallen at this stage, or seems to have fallen. But so we won't be making a proposal today, which is extremely unfortunate. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. I have Councillor Tierney indicated here.
Thank you, Mayor. I welcome the opportunity to discuss this once again, and I do acknowledge that at the committee, after our request, Councillor Jackson removed his proposal. It allowed us as a group to go and speak to people in and around the Rosemount and wider Foyleside area. We met with representatives of CRAM, some of which are in the public gallery today, and I again thank them for facilitating those conversations. We met with individual residents, we met with Foyleside developments, and we attended a public meeting held in Brook Park last Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday, Tuesday, sorry, I beg your pardon. And that has, I suppose, informed our position here today. And I note that Councillor Jackson said that community wealth building is a sustainable way to support the community and voluntary sector, which I agree with, absolutely. And we have supported the community wealth building model and many conversations in this chamber around it. But the community and voluntary sector is to support residents. And as I came away from the public meeting in Brook Park last Tuesday night, it was very clear to me that the people and the organisations who have now formed Foyleside Developments did not engage appropriately, in my opinion, with the residents in and around the Rosemount area. That was the clear message coming out of that public meeting. I also note that Councillor Jackson says that it's unfortunate that they're not in a position today to make a proposal. I'm sure that there are many residents in the Rosemount area who don't find that unfortunate. I am sure that there will be many who are thankful that there won't be a proposal made here today. I made my feelings around the regeneration of Rosemount Factory very clear at the committee meeting. There are suggestions within the plan that Foyleside Developments presented, which I would be incredibly supportive of. And I would love to see the community and voluntary sector have ownership of that building if they were going to do something that had residents' support. And the element that does not have resident support, in my understanding, is the 100 units on the top floor of purpose-built student accommodation. I think now that there is no proposal being made today allows for an opportunity for Foyleside developments or for individual community groups to come together within the Foyleside area with residents who were attending that meeting on last Tuesday night and others to come up with a way to regenerate Rosemount Factory in a way that reflects the needs and the wants of that community. That's something that I would like to see coming. So I don't find it unfortunate that there's no proposal here today. I find it as a stop opportunity for that community, and I hope that those behind the plans now come out and meet with community representatives again. I know they have met them in the lead up to this meeting. Meet with them again in a structured way to try and develop a plan for Rosemount Factory which benefits the community, supports the community and voluntary sector in a community wealth building way, but also meets the needs and the wants of the people living in and around it. And until that happens, I don't think it's unfortunate at all that there's no proposal here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tierney. Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. And can I just get on record, first of all, in regard to Councillor Jackson's statement that the building would be taken forward now by private owners. I have attempted to meet with the owners of the building, and they told me I needed to go and meet with Foyleside Developments and that they were unwilling to have a conversation with me, which I found extremely frustrating and actually found it alarming that a public representative in an area was not going to be afforded the time by the owners of the building to have a conversation about their plans, and I was to be sent elsewhere. And I've let a lot of people know that. And whomever is going to develop Rosemount Factory will have to deal with community input and resident input. So whether it is the community sector or private owners, they will not be getting a free pass to do whatever they want. And that's a message to the owners as well of the building, that this is not just going to be turned into a site where they can make massive profits and ignore what people who live around Rosemount and beyond actually think. The second one is that what became clear last week, which has been evident to people in Rosemount all along, is that the proposal for large-scale student accommodation in the Rosemount Factory did not have residential support, and that the consultation that was carried out by organisations that are part of Foyleside Developments didn't actually demonstrate that. And people knew this. It was clear in the statistics that they presented themselves. And what was happening is that community concerns, residential concerns of a whole host of things were being ignored. And I want to say something about my treatment and the treatment of people who are in CRAM and other organisations. I was vilified last week on the radio, told that I was spreading misinformation, making things up, spreading division against student expansion, against McGee expansion. All absolute nonsense, right? Because the facts are clear and everybody knows who has paid attention to the consultation what the residential view was. I also found it very frustrating that a meeting of 100 people where you had lots of residents, tenants of Rosemount Factory, organisations represented, was dismissed out of hand. People were told, oh, you were consulted. And the people who live in the area don't agree. They don't believe they were consulted properly. And that's why there was so much anger. And my concern, I'm glad that you're taking away the proposal today to move forward in this. I mean, in terms of the building itself, we call it community ownership. I do wonder how, when you treat people like this, how do they see it as community ownership? Because a lot of people wouldn't have felt welcome going in that building. I can guarantee you that, on the basis that they were told they were making up stuff, spreading misinformation. So this is about gatekeeping as well. This is about, we cannot allow this kind of gatekeeping to continue in community assets and community resources. And that's what people are seeing here. It's completely unfair. And a lot of people have expressed their anger and frustration about how their concerns have been dismissed over the last week. So I welcome the fact that this has been withdrawn today. People will not be blackmailed. That's one thing. People will not be blackmailed between the batter of a private owner, or you have to accept this plan for community development. There is another road, right? There's a lot of really great ideas for Rosemount Factory. We have to get people feeling like they own this. They are in ownership over this, not that something's going to be driven through over their heads. So the last thing is, I do have a proposal today, if Councillor Jackson has withdrawn his, which is that in line with what McGee Task Force has said, I think that Council shouldn't support or endorse a plan to turn Rosemount Factory into large-scale student accommodation. And I'll be happy to send that to Teresa, Mayor, if people, whenever you're ready to take the motion. Thank you.
It's a proposal. Just before I go to Councillor Donnelly, is there a seconder for your proposal? Councillor Cusack. Councillor Donnelly.
Chair, I'm not going to rehash. Councillor Harkin nailed it there. The reality is that what we're seeing this week has existed for a long time, and I've been saying it since I came into this council about gatekeeping, about control. There's buildings all over this city, some of them owned by council, where sections of our community aren't welcome and haven't been in for years. But no matter how many times you say that in this council, it's not even challenged. But the issue of community wealth building, and this project was on the back of our support for community wealth building. If this is an example of community wealth building, then I can't endorse or can't trust this council or the councillors. They take that forward. I done a course, and when they talked about community wealth building, there was a number of options in our parts of the 6 counties. And I asked the guy who was doing it about Castlederrick RUC station. And he said, yeah, that's a good example of community wealth building. You would know yourself, Chair, there's not a councillor or alderman on here that doesn't know how controversial that is. So the point that I'm making is that community wealth building is different for different people. For me, a community is the community, not a section, not the most dominant in that they ride roughshod over everybody else in it. It has to be inclusive, and there's none of that in any of this. Councillor Harkin was demonised, and that's what happens with certain people. Whispering campaigns, smear campaigns, but the people of this city and district are on it. They're not stupid. What sense of community building when people came into this council only a number of weeks ago, told lies and tried to get it in our community, a voluntary community organisation, effectively closed down. So I want to commend Councillor Harkin. I want to commend the people of Rosemount and surrounding areas for challenging this, and hopefully this type of behaviour is eradicated. Thank you.
Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Cusack.
Thank you, Mayor, and I will be brief because I do believe everything has been very eloquently covered by previous speakers. I was at the meeting last Tuesday, and I want to thank everybody for coming today, because this shows exactly how you as residents and people who are concerned about the future of the factory, how you actually feel the strength of your feeling. You've actually made the effort to come here and sit here in front of us and be listened to. And that's the one thing I took away massively from that meeting was we want to be listened to, we want to be consulted. And the people of the area haven't been, quite frankly, or don't feel they have been adequately. That
factory means so much to so many people. It's the history of it, the culture. Every family that lives in that area has some kind of connection. Every family that lives in the city probably has a connection to it with regards to our shirt building heritage. And so what happens to that factory means an awful lot. We've had so many factories destroyed or accidentally burned down, etc. And we're losing our built heritage, you know, right, left, everywhere around, we're losing that, and that's criminal, basically. So what that factory becomes will be very, very important to not only the people who are going to be using it and keeping that alive, but also to the people who take pride in that. So yes, the pause has been made. That's great. It's a good decision. It's the right decision. And it gives us now the space, as Councillor Harkin says, to really think about where we should go with this. And I think Council has a big role to play in that and consult with the community, with the city, to see what best it could be used for, but definitely not student accommodation. That would be an insult to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cusack. Councillor Anelis, Erlina.
Just coming in on the back of what Councillor Jackson said, and just to respond to a couple of the comments made by other councillors in the room today. I agree with Councillor Jackson completely in what he says, that today it is unfortunate that this proposal has had to be withdrawn based on the fact that this factory will now not have the same benefits to the community in terms of the financial regeneration of the Rosemount and the all in and around the Glen area, because when it is in the hands of private owners, the money is in private hands. The money is going to private banks. It is not being kept and retained within the community. So this is unfortunate today in terms of, from a community wealth building point of view. We can't have any control on the regeneration of a private building. You know, we have some levels, but we don't have the same amount of control that we would have if it was community led and completely, you know, with the community having an input. I do agree that there does need to be more input with the, or needs to be more consultation with the community, absolutely, on the factory. But, you know, when it is in private hands, we do not have the same level. The idea of community wealth building and the students living in and around the Rosemount area. So, I mean, if the factory had have been accommodation for students, it would have been much more controlled by the university. It would have been much safer, bearing in mind that Magee University is actually 70% female. So it would have been much more secure for students to be living in and around that area. It would have taken away from students living in the houses. As, like, you know, a female myself, I know that I would much prefer to be living in somewhere that is controlled and secure than living in houses. So that's something as well that it might have actually given back to the community in terms of houses being freed up for families. This kind of regeneration where community organisations own and look after areas and they look after houses, it's done all over England and it's done really, really well. And what it does is it helps community organisations sustain themselves. So, you know, this idea of, you know, a motion being brought in today about cuts to community organisations, the community organisations in England are sustaining themselves in this exact way, where they have community-led housing, where they're all very, very safe within the communities, and that money goes back into other programmes and helps sustain the community organisations. So, I mean, from a community wealth building point of view, this, I just can't believe what I'm hearing today about the idea of not supporting community wealth building, because it goes far further than what's been said in the room. And, you know, the idea as well, this being said today, that this pause, it's given us space. No, it's not giving us space. It's not giving that community space. What it's doing is the private owners are now going to go ahead with whatever they want to do with it. We don't have the space. It's, as far as we're concerned at this point, you know, it's not in our hands anymore.
Thank you, Councillor Anelis. Members in the gallery, you aren't permitted to speak. Members, we have a proposal on the floor from Councillor Harkin, which has been seconded. So I'm going to put the proposal to the vote. I'm going to ask Stephen to take the vote, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Cook.
Abstain.
Alderman Guy,
Sorry, I'm sort of working here. Is that for or against this here? Was it Sean's brought that forward, this motion?
yeah, it's for Councillor Harkin's motion, yes.
Well, four.
Thank you. Alderman Kerrigan,
Abstain, Stephen.
Alderman McMorris, Alderman Montgomery, Alderman Wilk, oh no, that's okay. Councillor Lillian Barr,
For.
Councillor Raymond Barr,
For.
Councillor Boyle,
For.
Councillor Clark, Councillor Cusack,
Or.
Councillor Devine,
Neil.
Councillor Donnelly,
For.
Councillor Alex Duffy,
Neil.
Councillor Sandra Duffy,
Neil.
Councillor Rory Farrell,
For.
Councillor Fleming,
Neil.
Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Harkin, Councillor Hart,
Neil.
Councillor Heaney, Councillor Hutton,
Neil.
Councillor Jackson,
Neil.
Councillor Leonard,
Neil.
Councillor Logue, Councillor McDade,
For.
Councillor McGinley, Councillor McGowan, Councillor McHugh, Councillor Mooney, Councillor Murphy, Councillor Norris, Councillor Farrell,
Neil.
Councillor Riley,
For.
Councillor Tierney,
For.
and Councillor Aeneas.
No.
Okay, members, there's 15 for, 17 against, and 2 abstentions, so that proposal falls. Members, is there any other matters arising out of those minutes? If not, then we move on to item 10C, which is our minutes of the monthly planning committee held on Wednesday, the 4th of March, for accuracy. Any members of the planning committee want to propose or second the minutes?
I'm happy to propose.
I'll second Patricia Logue here.
Councillor, who was that online?
That was
Patricia.
Councillor Montgomery and Councillor Logue, thank you. Any matters arising out of those minutes? Councillor Harkin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. It was just in there was a discussion there about our HMO policy update, and we've had some input now from the department about our proposal or our desire as a council to go from a 30% cap to a 10% cap. And I think it's very welcome that we're at that point right now. I think that the recommendation or the motion coming out of it can be stronger. So I have an alternative language for it. This is P4026. It's the motion as it's written right now says that we will engage with the DFI over moving forward with our proposal to go from 30% to 10. But what my reading of this is, and I can be corrected, is the DFI is now saying that the council has the power to move forward itself to change the LDP HMO cap from 30% to 10%. So it seems to me it's on us now to move forward with that, and that seems to be the desire of the council. So I think that for us, I think it's about what we are going to put in motion rather than waiting for more information from the Department for Infrastructure. So I'm going to send language that speaks to that, and I'll send that to Teresa right now.
Councillor Harkin, you're making a proposal?
Yes.
Okay, have you a seconder for the proposal? Councillor Cusack? Councillor Cusack, do you wish to speak to it? No? Any other member? Does anybody other member wish to raise another matters arising out of the planning minutes in the meantime? No. Okay, members, that proposal's up on the screen. Members, the proposal's now on the screen. It's been proposed and seconded. Does any other member wish to address the motion? Councillor Mooney?
Chair, thank you. I've just looked at it there and content enough to support the motion, obviously. This motion from Councillor Harkin falls off the letter, I think dated the 3rd of March from DFI Director in relation to the HMO. I've read the letter a couple of times and it leaves me with a sort of sense of, you know, that the letter was sort of, I'm trying to find the semantics in the letter, I suppose. It's like a sort of constraining type letter, you know. You've already been through this process and do you want to go through this process again, obviously? And it's very, 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 you know, readily makes clear that this process must go through the previous process. So whether you parse one bit of the document or the whole document, you have to go through the same aspect again. You have to reconsult and then go through the department again, the independent examination, if indeed it gets through that. But I have no issue with that, but I suppose number one, what's in my mind is we're readily going through the second aspect of the plan strategy, i.e. the LPP. And I'm wondering, will officers have enough resources or time, or they constitute two, because you're going to be running two parallel processes here. Now, I suppose you have you're looking to amend HOU 13 and 14 and run the LPP. How's that going to be done? And obviously, since this is the first time it's ever been done, we don't have timescales, and that is marked in the letter as well. So for the purpose for me, and I think more so for the purpose of the residents here in the gallery, it might be sort of prudent, or maybe not prudent, to give some sort of indicative timeline. I know the letter says a year, but we know that the last process took nearly 10 years. So I think we need to be readily clued in here as to how we manage expectations within the community, because it's very, very important. I don't know how long this process will take, and I think that's what people like to know. But what I should be saying, I suppose, is that the SDLP group, and we've been supportive of Councillor Harkin's proposal. but I think there's more questions out of that letter than there is answers at the moment. And if anybody could assist, that'd be great. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mooney, and I have Alderman Kerrigan online.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in. And to be fair, a lot of what Councillor Mooney has said is probably articulated better than I would have. I do have concerns in regards to the timescale. An amendment to the LDP will take time. It's still, from my understanding, it still has to go back out to public consultation. And the arguments that the arguments and the wording that was used to agree the caps of 10% and 30% in the first instance, maybe 2 or 2.5 years ago, are now there's going to have to be a justification that the 30% cap is no longer acceptable, and that'll have to be accepted by the department. That's my understanding, and I stand to be corrected. Of course, then the LPP is underway as well, and I do genuinely have concerns that this is putting additional pressure onto the planning team, and will effectively cause delays. And for those that are minded of getting this sorted, I would again like a realistic time frame. This is it, because there's no point going, in my view, of going down this line if it's going to take 3 or 4 years down the line to try and get it sorted. So it's just getting a realistic time frame. And I know the planning team have a lot of work on, and I just think it's staff. The two processes, LDP and LPP, can run side by side, but it's having the staff, the appropriate level of staff that can work on that and keep the planning applications turning. So I just have concerns in that regard. So if we could get clarification, because I suppose, Mayor, if this is passed then today, that's our position. There's no real chance to look at it again. But just those concerns, Mayor, because I don't want ones seeking this and then being disappointed by how long it's going to take to get through the process. But just a few comments. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman, and Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, I know the comments that we wanted to make, we made at committee. In relation to the proposal that's in front of us, it's very similar to what was agreed at committee. We've no objection to it at all. The letter that's been referred to highlights the process that was involved in the last time, and I know we were heavily involved in every step of that. We insisted that a HMO policy was put in place to try and control HMO development. Whereas before, without that intervention, there wouldn't have been any HMO policy, because it hadn't been raised by anybody else. I think Councillor Harkin never attended any of the workshops, any of the meetings. But so I sort of can understand his lack of understanding of the process. The letter outlined the evidence that was gathered together, presented an independent examination, and I suppose it was deemed as sound. If we're changing that, and I agree we should, we need to gather that evidence. We need to present the case to the department to change our LDP. Whilst the department, or maybe not the department, the independent examiner, because we know that process needs to go. We need to go through that process again, and the best way we can do that to present the case is by getting members together and strongly informing officers of our intent, and discussing, deliberating the evidence, and making sure that we put the best case forward. It's extremely frustrating that we're at this position, because it was, and I know everybody that was attending the workshops that was involved in the plan strategy phase would know categorically clear that the intention was for a 10% cap in residential areas for HMOs, but the 30% would apply to HMO management area, which we were working on the assumption that we were going, it was the city centre, to help drive university expansion to the city centre. that's been the thrust of the discussion. That was the thrust of the evidence that was provided to the department and in turn to the independent examiner. We need to do that again. The motion or the proposal that's in front of us asks council to immediately commence the necessary process. We know what that process is let's get together, let's present that case and do the work that needs to make a change to that interim position, because it is extremely frustrating that there hasn't been the progress that we anticipated on the plan strategy phase. This time last year, we would have thought we would have been halfway through the plan strategy or the plan policy stage by now. We're not, unfortunately, and we're left with the position, and that's why we made the proposal that we were going to make a change, and we want to work with officers to gather that evidence and present the best case to the independent examiner to allow us to change that position. So I look forward, and I sincerely hope the council Harkin takes part in the process this time and can see that that it is an intent of council to ensure that there's no residential areas within our council area that exceeds a 10% limit of HMOs. But we need the policy. We need the policy to be robust, and to do that, we need to put on the groundwork to present that case. So if this proposal adds to what was made at planning committee and helps put a sense of urgency on that work to be carried out, we fully support it. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. I have no further indicated members to speak, so a proposal has been proposed and seconded. I'll ask Stephen to take a vote, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Cook.
Abstain.
Alderman Guy.
For.
Alderman Hussey.
Mayor, I had not been privy to the entire discussion, so abstain.
Alderman Kerrigan.
Abstain, Stephen.
Alderman McMorris. Alderman Montgomery.
For.
Councillor Lillian Barr.
For.
Councillor Raymond Barr. Councillor Boyle.
For.
Councillor Clark. Councillor Cusack. Councillor Devine.
Ta.
Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Alex Duffy.
Ta.
Councillor Sandra Duffy.
Ta.
Councillor Farrell. Councillor Fleming.
Ta.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart. Councillor Heaney. Councillor Hutton.
Ta.
Councillor Jackson.
Ta.
Councillor Leonard.
Ta.
Councillor Logue.
For.
Councillor McDade.
For.
Councillor McGinley. Councillor McGowan. Councillor McHugh. Councillor Mooney. Councillor Murphy. Councillor Norris. Councillor O'Farrell. Councillor Riley.
For.
Councillor Tierney.
For.
And Councillor Neelis.
Ta.
Thank you.
Okay, members, there's 32 for with 3 abstentions, so that proposal has passed. Members, could I just remind you that if you're going to make a proposal arising out of the minutes, then please have the proposal. There's no excuse that you shouldn't have that proposal in front of the clerk before the start of the meeting, and that applies to all elected members. So, members, if there's no other matters arising out of those minutes, Can we move on then to item 10D, which is the minutes of the Special Governments and Strategic Planning Committee held on Tuesday, the 10th of March, 2026. For accuracy, proposer and seconder, please. Come on, members.
I can propose Gracie Neillis online.
Grace Neillis and Councillor Duffy. Thank you. Any matters arising out of those minutes? No matters arising. So then we go to 10E, which is the Monthly Business and Culture Committee held on Tuesday, the 10th of March. For accuracy, can I have a proposer and seconder? Councillor O'Farrell and Councillor Hart. Any matters arising? Councillor Donnelly.
BC 50/26, Chair, as a Republican, could I disassociate myself from that, the whole issue of Strabane to be the UK town of culture?
Okay, Councillor Donnelly, that'll be noted. Any other matters arising? Councillor Mooney.
Thank you, Chair. It's BC 4126 Royal Mail. The long running saga. It sparked my attention this actually because this morning I had a message or a call from a local resident of Waterside about the post, and they hadn't received their post. This is coming up to 2 weeks now, and I'm sure probably a lot of members of this chamber have exactly the same stories to tell from local constituents. And I was just chatting to the person anyway, and obviously left and see what we could do anyway, Chair. But I was wondering, Chair, even on the basic situation, would it be possible for a letter to go from this chamber just to express our dismay again at the lack of delivery for letters? And the person I was talking to was basically saying that they saw Royal Mail was on the street, but they were living parcels rather than mail, and that's the evidence I have. But Chair, if I could be done just to reflect the fact that, especially for residents in my DA, the Waterside, that there's still an ongoing saga with mail delivery. I'll leave it at that. Only, Chair, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Mooney, just need a seconder for that there. Councillor Norris, Councillor Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know yourself, this thing's been just dragging on. And I've noticed on social media that it's not peculiar to our council area. It's throughout Northern Ireland. And this is something actually the Assembly should be getting to grips on. This is a vital service for all of our citizens. Delivery of letters, important letters, documentation, business letters, etc. And it's absolutely scandalous that we're at this stage. But I honestly believe that it needs to be taken far above council level, and the Assembly themselves need to be investigating this at their level. Thank you.
Yeah, it's certainly an ongoing problem right across the whole region. Councillor Guy online.
Thanks, Mayor. I just to point out, just backing up on what Councillor Mooney says there. I had a woman contact me from the Grovemount area just the other day too. Hasn't received any post in 5 weeks. Now I've seen photographs of the section within Great James's Street sorting office that basically should be it is the area that it was actually would have been covered with that post. It's absolutely shocking the amount of post that's sitting in that area, because someone apparently has lost or is off, left or off in the sick. There's nobody there to cover it, and it's an absolute shambles. That Great James Street sorting office, the management have a lot of questions to answer, but also just an accuracy on the grant aid one. I had left the room or had left the online at the time. It didn't record that. But I did come in and speak at the end when my part had been covered. That could be changed just. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, Alderman Guy will amend that. Councillor Donnelly.
Just on the issue of Royal Mail, and I want to concur with the previous speakers. I was speaking to somebody in the Waterside, Chair, who went for tests and were immediately contacted following the tests an appointment was made. But in between that, they then received a letter offering a cancellation. They were offered a cancellation, and it went to this person because it was a serious issue, and they didn't get it until it was too late. The effect that this is having on people, it needs to be dealt with, and it needs to be dealt with as a matter of urgency. If this is down to the finances or down to the pound notes or whatever, then that's being prioritised over people's health and well-being, and it's got this stage. We need to get this sorted. Thank you.
Okay, members, any other matters arising out of those minutes? No, we'll move on then to 10F, which is the monthly Environment and Regeneration Committee held on Wednesday, 11th of March. For accuracy, Councillor McGinley, seconded Councillor McGowan. Any matters arising? ENR. You looking into Councillor Donnelly? No. Okay, members, move on then to item 10G, which is the monthly Health and Community Committee held on Thursday, the 12th of March. For accuracy, Councillor Clark. Seconder, please, Councillor O'Farrell. And any matters arising out of those minutes, Councillor Donnelly?
Right, Chair. Seeing this about the retirement of Paula Bradley, and I just want to be associated with wishing Paula all the best. And I'd also like to pay tribute to Teresa Johnson, as I understand, is moving on to bigger and better things. But on a serious note, Chair, how these people sat there and listened to us, and then sometimes myself in particular tried to make sense of it, and throughout the years they've always got it spot on, and I'd like to thank them for their service, and they've been very, very valued members of staff, and I wish them all the best. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure all members would share those sentiments, Councillor Donnelly. I wish Teresa all the best in her next career move. Councillor Cusack.
Again, just to agree that we have been very well served by Paula, and especially Teresa. And Teresa, we're all going to lose a lot of weight when you go. All the very best. You deserve it. Thank you.
Councillor Hutton.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to give our well wishes to Teresa as well. You will be sorely missed, Teresa, all the treats that you bring in and your sense of humour. You just light up a room when you walk into it. You will be sorely missed, Teresa, but we wish you all the best for your future endeavours. And Mayor, I do have an item, a matters arising item. Do you want to do Teresa's well wishes first, or will I? Because I think a few people.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. And I already got to send my tribute to Paula, but for Teresa as well. Thank you for putting up with us. Thank you for the treats, and genuinely wish you well in your next step.
And Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. And like some others, I have already paid tribute to Paula. And on behalf of the SDLP group, we now thank Teresa for all of her hard work. Sometimes I struggle to understand what some people in here are saying, but reading the minutes makes it a little bit easier. So thank you for all your hard work. And on behalf of the SDLP, we wish you well in the future. Thank you.
And Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. Like others, I paid tribute to Paula. Teresa, sincere thanks for all that you've put up with over the time that I've been in this chamber. You light up the meetings at times when sometimes they're just getting that wee bit deep, but and the breaks and wee chats, and you have a bit of chocolate or whatever, you definitely help smooth out helped smooth out the workings of this chamber, and for that, sincere thanks. Thanks, Teresa.
And Alderman Kerrigan.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And like others, just to concur with the remarks stated in regards to Paula and Teresa, it will be a sad. It'll be sad to see you both go. And you have put up and had to listen to a lot, and maybe had to hear a lot of complaints and issues being raised, and you've always done it with a smile, and that would not have always been simple and not always been easy listening to us. But we do thank you very much for your service to the council and wish you every success in the future. Thank you very much, Mayor.
And finally, Councillor Gallagher.
Again, just endorse what previous speakers have said. Well done, Teresa. Moving on, and also to Paula. We'll be a few calories later as we move forward. No chocolate, but I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you. And if Councillor Guy online.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. Yeah, first of all, just to say about Paula, wish her all the best in her retirement or whatever she's moving on to do. But I know that I started off as she was my boss in Tesco's when I was a young student in my student days. So wish her all the best going forward. And sad to hear about Teresa leaving as well. It'll be a dollar meeting without you there, Teresa. But thanks for all the crack and thanks for all the sweets as well. Our teeth will be a lot better now as we move forward, probably. But thanks, all the best, Teresa.
And I just see Councillor Wyman Barra's a message there as well to pass on his best wishes to both Paula and Teresa. So just to record that as well. Okay, members, go back now to Councillor Hutton, who has another matter arising.
Thank you, Mayor, and it's HC 65/26. And I just wanted to take this opportunity here today to ask Council if we could promote a few pieces of law and legislation which are in place at the minute in and around ending violence against women and girls. I think over the past week we've seen an outpouring of grief in relation to Amy, and we've also seen a lot of support from the community with the thousands of people that attended the Guildhall Square last Friday. So one particular law that I wanted to sort of focus on is a law called Clare's Law. And it's an official law. Sometimes it's called the Domestic Violence Disclosure Scheme. And that's a policy that gives people the right to ask police about a partner's history of abuse or violence. So you or somebody else close to you can ask the police if a partner has had a history of domestic violence or abuse, and the police can check their records and decide whether or not they will share that information. And then they can, in turn, proactively warn you if they believe that you're at risk, even if you didn't ask. So if a disclosure is made, it can include previous domestic violence or abuse, violent offences, and patterns of controlling or coercive behaviour. And the police only share the information if it's necessary to protect you. It's free to apply. You don't need proof, just a concern, and the process can take a few weeks while police assess the risk. Information is shared confidentially and you're expected not to pass it on. So it's just to appeal to people that they can consider Clare's Law if they feel uneasy about maybe a partner's past or someone that they care about they feel is at risk. And this all can be determined by the warning signs of controlling or abusive behaviour. There's another two laws, and that's the non-fatal strangulation law and the coercive control offence. And I just feel it's important that we remind people that those laws are in existence. And if anybody feels that they can seek help and guidance in relation to actioning those laws, then the information will be within any social media post that Council can put out in relation to these as well. And I just also wanted to mention if we could ask for a letter to be sent to the Justice Minister while we're in the vein of laws. If we could please ask the Justice Minister for an update in relation to a law called Jade's Law, which is in force in England and Wales. And it's just to see if there's any plans or if there's any talks about that law being implemented here in the north of Ireland. It has been active since 2024. So if we could write a letter, please, to get an update from the Justice Minister in relation to where that law currently sits within the north. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay, have you seconder for that? Councillor Duffy. I'm going to go to Councillor McDade, who's online.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Hutton for raising this. We are fully in support of everything that she's mentioned there. I want to also thank everyone who showed up on Friday evening at the vigil for Amy. I think that we as a city are very good at coming together whenever tragedies like this happen, and I think Friday was a really good example of that. And you could feel in the crowd the sadness and the anger that people were feeling. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and say thank you to the organisers and to everybody who did attend. In regards to Clare's Law, I'm really glad to see you raising this, Aisling, so that people are aware of it. And I know at the meeting last week, we had talked about setting up like a working group. And part of that, the reason that I had said that I think the PSNI should be on that is because there are different parts of that Clare's Law that we should be aware of, that we can share with constituents and people who are concerned, that we can point them in the right direction. As for Jade's Law, I actually just signed an open letter to the Justice Minister and to Parliament last night, I think it was, to ask that Jade's Law would be implemented here in the North, and there would be consideration given to that. So I'm glad to see that we're going to write to the Justice Minister for an update. That law is around parental responsibility in the cases of domestic murders like that. So I think it's really important that we have the information, and that if people in the UK have these specific laws that have come from tragedies similar to what happened to Amy, then we shouldn't be left behind here in the North. We should have the same protections legally. But no, thank you very much, Aisling, for raising it. Thanks, Mayor, for letting me in. And again, just say to anyone who's watching this or who's listening to this, is that reach out if you are in if you're in a relationship, or if you're in any situation that you feel unsafe. Please reach out to the organisations or to someone that you love for support. Thank you.
I have Councillor Cook online. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Thanks, Mayor, for letting me in, and I just wanted to thank Ashley as well for highlighting this. It would be great if we got more of this on our social medias as a council as well. So I think that's good. I just wanted to personally thank everyone that attended the vigil on Friday evening. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. I was away on a residential, but my family and children and partner and that attended, and it was great to see the crowds coming out for, something that we do need to really, really highlight. So yeah, and in regards to Jade's Law as well, I think anything that we can do to protect children and families after domestic abuse is great. So I totally agree with writing to the Minister of Justice as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And Alderman Montgomery.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me, and I just want to thank Aisling for bringing this forward, because anything we can do to promote this, it'd be great, and it's great to promote Clare's Law. I'd actually been speaking to our party leader at the weekend about around Jade's Law and about trying to push this through the Justice Minister, so I'd be very happy to support this. I had noticed on Foyle's side they now have asked Bernie rather than ask for Angela, which is out in the pubs, which I think is a great idea, to have more people come forward within doctors if they are suffering from domestic violence. But thank you.
Thanks for that, Alderman. Members, that's been proposed and seconded that we write to the relevant minister. Taking that's unanimously supported. Thanks. Sorry, matters raising, is it? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor McGinley.
I'll be brief, Mayor. It's HC 6226, and in relation to the endometriosis nurse, it's a wee bit of a tangent, but I just want to thank you for meeting with the endometriosis support group from Derrywell Women last week, and for lighting up the council buildings on the 24th. I know it was really appreciated, and there is ongoing engagement with council with that group, and they're really grateful for your time and for the engagement that's followed. So I just wanted to put that on record.
Okay, any other matters arising, members? If not, then we'll move on to our next minutes, which is 10H, the bi-monthly Assurance Audit and Risk Committee, held on Monday the 16th of March. For accuracy, Councillor McGowan and Councillor Clark. Any matters arising out of those minutes? No. So then we go to item I, which is the Special Planning Committee held on Thursday the 19th of March. For accuracy,
Happy to propose, Alderman Montgomery.
Alderman Montgomery, seconded Councillor Murphy. Any matters arising out of those minutes? No, so I'm going to take the confidential minutes and then members will go for a wee comfort break then. So can I have a proposer and seconder to go on the confidential, please?
Proposed.